Let's see what this woman has to say on the Elden Ring DLC. I was sent this video to see what she's talking about. So let's see what she's talking about.
The day has finally come. The people have finally spoken. So listen up, Miyazaki. Elden Ring's DLC is too hard. I have like a couple of like kind of very different branching takes to make in this video. I am going to talk about accessibility and why I think accessibility is really important and how common of a conversation accessibility is where FromSoft games are concerned, and why I do think it would be great if disabled players could play Elden Ring, even though it is already currently the most accessible game. There's a lot of room for improvement.
Is Elden Ring not disability friendly? I've literally seen people play Elden Ring with their eyes alone, and that's not saying like, that's accessibility friendly. But what I'm saying is it not accessibility friendly? I'm not sure. Like the controls? I don't know. You'd have to go into more detail on that because I didn't think that there was an accessibility issue.
There are a bunch of negative reviews on Steam for Elden Ring because Shadow of the Erdtree is considered too hard. I never thought we would get to a landscape where people will admit that they found a FromSoft game too hard. Like, even if people...
Like, I don't understand why people are saying that the Elden Ring DLC is hard. It's not. As someone who's, like, done about 70% of it, and I'd say about 50% of the bosses, I feel like I could have done more of the bosses. I'm not sure yet. But I don't think it's hard. Like, the original game, it's as hard as you make it. Like, you can play the game as hard as you want. Like, you can go into the fight and set yourself, like, hard challenges. And that's you making the game difficult for yourself. That's not the game being difficult. The game has so many things to make it easier for the player to go out and level up and make it easier to defeat bosses. And there's different bosses that have different weaknesses and all that. But it's people who set specific challenges for themselves that are saying that it's too difficult. No, just admit that you're making it difficult for yourself.
Now, it's worth noting that the presence of this has been a little bit exaggerated. A lot of the negative reviews on Steam are also people complaining about the performance problems, which are there. They are consistent.
That's true. There is some things that are really annoying. Like, that you can't, like, roll when you go into the Commander Gaius fight. Like, if you have played the Commander Gaius fight, you know what I'm talking about. Like, when you come into the fight and he just steamrolls over you. And the only way to kind of dodge this is to roll into him. But the rolls don't work. Like, 60% of the time, you still get serious damage, like, and it's really annoying.
The whole point is for them to be extremely challenging. I do think that people complaining about the Shadow of Erdtree DLC should get good. By which I mean just pay attention to the things the game gives you that...
That's what I said!
So this is the second half of this video, where I'm going to talk specifically about accessibility, and even just a lot of people really not understanding the conversation about accessibility in Elden Ring. It has been brought up various times across various mediums by various people that Elden Ring is not, or FromSoft games in general, are not particularly accessible to disabled players. When people are asking for accessibility, I'm not actually asking for an easy mode. That isn't the intent. Here's the thing I want to spell out where accessibility is concerned. There are long-term disabilities, there are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have, where the game...
I'm sorry. I'm really sorry right now. But did she just compare being disabled to having a child?
Not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability, a situational disability. You may need to pause to stop your kid from putting a fork into a...
Oh yeah, you can't. Yeah, you actually can't. True. It's not like you're playing, as I said, League of Legends online. Like, you're not going to lose out by having to pause the game for a second. You might lose a few ruins, but, like, who cares? Like, seriously. I'm not going to compare a child to a disability. I am shocked. What I would consider a situational disability is if you get into an accident and you break your arm. Would you consider that a situational disability? But temporary and situational, would that not be the same thing? But what are the three types of disability? So permanent disability I think we can understand what permanent disability means. Temporary disability, she must be comparing that to, like, you know, breaking your arm, as I just said. So what's a situational disability? I have never heard anyone say situational disability. Does someone actually know what that means? Situational is you carrying groceries. Okay. I see what you mean. Okay. We got to the root. We got to the root of it. It's just we didn't know what that term meant. So it's situational. Okay, situational disability. I've never heard that saying before, but that was shocking the first time hearing that. So thank God we all talked that through, guys. Teamwork.
And there are temporary disabilities. You break your wrist, you sprain your wrist, you temporarily have trouble playing video games. You would need something to help you press certain buttons if you're playing Elden Ring.
Or you're not playing Elden Ring till your arm gets better, but okay.
Third one, long-term people who have long-term disabilities. That I do. I have tendonitis in both of my wrists from playing too many video games.
Do I have a disability? I have tendonitis and arthritis. I never actually thought about it. Disability unlocked?
Video games, unironically, that is a thing, from tapping too much. And here's the thing about accessibility in Elden Ring, where any of those things are concerned. I think there's a misunderstanding that people think disabled gamers, whoever else, want an easy mode. This is not the case. It's that the appeal of Elden Ring being really hard is also appealing to people with disabilities.
I'm not struggling to understand her. I do agree with her that for such a massive game, it should be more accessible for people with disabilities.
Here's my pitch, okay? Hear me out, the internet. Here's my pitch for fixing the problems surrounding Elden Ring or FromSoft games in general being so, like, just the discourse being so hotly contested. Like, I've been making fun of people this week for saying that if you played with someone, you didn't finish the game, that you cheated, even though it's a mechanic that's right there. It's literally intentionally there. It would be like saying you didn't beat Shadow of the Erd Tree because you used the Scatter Tree fragments. It's nonsense. They're in the game. Miyazaki put them in the game. It's cool that we can adopt them or not adopt them based on how we want to experience the thing or the unique challenges that we have.
By not using the Scatter Tree fragments or not using summons, as she said, that is a challenge you set on yourself. It doesn't make you less of a gamer, or it doesn't mean that you cheated playing Elden Ring by using the options that were given to you in the game.
What if, for every game that you finish, but especially for FromSoft games, there were an ending title screen that you could screenshot and you could share very easily that details exactly how you finish the game. Like all of these people who are vehemently against accessibility options, which is really, again, just in-game customization options. No one's asking for less or more damage, but like less button presses or there's a large list of things that can make it easier for disabled players to play a really hard game and still have it feel really hard, but still be able to play it, you know? But what if you get a screen at the end with the credits that shows exactly how you played it or what options you had on or off?
Wait, I think we are both on completely different pages here. I think she's just talking, I don't think she's talking about accessibility for people that are disabled. I think she's just talking about, I think I'm in a different world to her. She's talking about the settings. I'm thinking from what I was thinking was someone with, for example, that's lost their arm and they want to be able to play Elden Ring and it's not going to be accessible for them because they only have 5 digits to play the game. So how are we going to make it more accessible for the person with 5 digits? I need to know what the comment section say. What? We were in completely different worlds. Do people call them accessibility features? I've never heard that. I guess we're not real gamers, guys. So, wait, I think I understand. So, I think I understand what she's trying to say. So, what she's saying is that there should be more in-game features available to make it more accessible and for people who have disabilities. Is that what she's getting at? Why just make a narrative mode? Because people don't want a narrative mode, because people that might have difficulties in playing the game on super hard mode as a result of disabilities. But if they made like more in-game features that helped you in the game, then it would make it more accessible for more people. That's what she's saying. Yeah, no, I can see where she's coming from. It's just the way she worded it. Like, I wish she'd explained what she was saying more, because I didn't really understand it. And it didn't really come across the way she was saying it, because she was using words that I think not everyone is going to understand. And I think she should explain what she's saying better. Because when I hear accessibility, I think of people who are physically disabled. Because in Europe, when you see accessibility, normally it goes towards disabled people that find it physically difficult to do things. So it's more accessible for them. Can anyone agree with me in the chat? No, what I'm saying is the way that she worded it made it very difficult for people to understand. And the terms that she used, she should have explained those terms, because we're not all technically savvy in the jargon of game development, software, or any of the words that she used. Like, if accessibility features is a word that's used in gaming jargon, okay, fair. But accessibility features for most people around the world means accessibility for, and she kept saying disabled, so I thought she was talking about disability features, which is fair enough. And I don't feel like I'm in the wrong for getting confused about what she was saying and not understand what she was saying, because it was seriously confusing.